Hi, I'm Wendy, and today I'm going to give you some tips on how to break the monotony of a presentation. All right, and then re-energize your audience as well at the same time. So look, this is really critical for engagement, and I'm sure we've all been at conferences or presentations where it's just become so boring and so monotonous and you wish you were somewhere else. Well, don't be that person who's presenting. So I'm going to give you some strategies to wake up drowsy audiences and infuse a little bit of energy into your presentation. The first one you can do is change the tone and the energy of your vocals. So adjust your vocal tone and energy level. If you've been speaking in a fairly monotone voice, try changing it up. Invoke a little bit of enthusiasm into your voice and a bit of energy. It doesn't necessarily mean speaking louder. That's not the point. It means changing it a bit and trying to be a little bit more richer and more dynamic in how your voice is used. So hopefully that will be sort of quite contagious when other people are hearing it, and they will be speaking as well, and they'll feel, well, you know, there's a bit of liveliness going on here. It's quite lively, it's dynamic, and that will re-energize and refocus people. Ask interactive questions. People like to be involved, you know, rather than just sit there and be talked at. So they like to actually be involved in some way. Pose questions to your audience. That should wake them up a little bit, especially if they're a little bit controversial. Yes, you can play around with that a little bit. So it can wake up some sleepy participants and encourage them to participate in the discussion. Incorporate physical movement, not just for yourself, but for your audience members as well. Get them to stand up, move around a bit, maybe some stretches, maybe some particular kind of icebreaker or other exercises or activities that gets people moving, interacting away from the seated position, away from, or even standing if that's what they're doing. Sitting, standing, moving around, being fairly active, and try to incorporate that. If it is a long presentation, then you may need to do that several times. Now for yourself, it's very important to incorporate movement as well too, because nobody wants to just watch somebody standing in the same place like a statue all the time. Move a bit naturally, you know, as much as you can from side to side. Move around the room even. If there are aisles or corridors, then try to use that and move up and down so that you're situated at, you know, different corners of the room, different spaces. Use humour. We've talked about that before. Obviously, you need to think about it. It's got to be appropriate. It's got to be suitable. It's got to be in some sort of context. But a well-timed, relevant joke or a little bit of humour can liven things up, can wake people up a little bit and captivate them, captivate their attention and break the monotony. Share some interesting facts or stories. Everybody loves stories. This is what will, you know, wake them up a bit from the dry, boring, throwing facts at them, reading from a written speech where, you know, it sounds quite generic. It sounds like anybody could have sort of written it. Whereas you want to add in some personalized moments. You want to add in some stories, things that are relatable, that are personal, that captivate people's attention, make people sit up and think, wow, did that person really do that? Is that what really happened? So you can do that, some interactive exercises as well. If it's a setup where you can use online resources as well as in-person physical resources, you can mix it up a little bit, and that will certainly liven things up. Use your visual aids creatively. Look, you know, the sky's the limit basically when it comes to visual aids, vibrant images, infographics, photos, short videos will add a lot of visual interest. Break it up into segments. So don't try to cram a heap of information into, you know, a very short space of time. So break it up, get people to move around between segments, let them know that it is segmented so that they have some idea of when it's going to finish, because it's sort of not knowing how long it's going to go for. It's sort of like, you know, when you're in a car and you're driving along and you're thinking, when is this going to stop? When are we going to get to our destination? Well, if you know, then you can plan for it, and it just seems to like sort of go quicker, and it's not so long, is it? Use music or other sound effects, and that's not something that is often talked about. We talk about visuals, but I think why not? Some music clips, some sound effects could liven things up a little bit. We've talked about sharing anecdotes, personal stories, expressing your passion and your conviction for something. So, convey genuine passion for your topic. I've said before, enthusiasm is contagious. People will see that you are absolutely passionate about your topic, and they won't help but be swept away in that as well too. And then, of course, build in some breaks for Q&As, for questions and answers, for discussions, for giving feedback as well. That's really important. Now remember, be mindful of the pacing of your presentation. You don't have all day. There are other people who need to speak as well. Adapt your strategies to suit your audience, to suit their needs, to suit the context of your presentation. Flexibility and responsiveness to your audience's needs and their energy levels is what's going to work, and it's going to keep them awake and engaged.